today's Ranger Show. My name is Phil Stephanie. And as usual, thank you so much to all of you for joining me here for the next half an hour. It's always a great time of the day just to see what we get to see. How are you doing, Sue? Thanks for joining us from Ohio. Oh, what terrible news. You've got to go back to work. This might be your last show. I reckon you can sneak in a little view from the work desk. I guess it's a good sign that things are maybe opening up and becoming a little bit more what they used to be. Some like it that way, others not so much. It's a pity for us, of course. You may not have as much time in your hands as possible, but thank you for joining us today. But the shows will all be on the website. You can do recaps, and if you do get a chance, you can just pop in and say a quick hi. But to everyone, let's see what we see today. It looks to be like a lot of elephant activity at various cameras today. It's a beautiful afternoon, looks very still, not much wind. This lovely elephant bull at Naledi Dam, who's been here for a while, just taking his time, no rush. He had a little drink and now he's feeding on, might be the grass, could also be some shrubs coming up there, but certainly no rush in this fellow's day here. It's so nice to see. As we've got some great video highlights again. I've also got some bird sound quizzes. Suki, I'm glad you're with us today. I'm sorry you missed the show on Tuesday. But we've got some bird sounds which we'll play in just a moment to see if anyone can identify them. And then towards the end of the show, we've got those same calls from the birds. In other words, the answer. It's not only a concept of maybe guessing the bird call, but also starting the process of learning the calls in different birds. Actually, if we listen out here at the Naledi Cam, maybe Max, if we put the volume up a little bit, there's some wonderful calls. I think I heard them earlier. Might have been from a different camera. No, it must be a different camera. It sounds like the Naledi sound is working so well at the moment. Just watching this elephant, looks like he might break a couple of branches off there, but that's okay. I'm sure we'll listen out. It seems like it's a beautiful day throughout all of our cameras in all the different areas. So let's see how we go. How are you doing, Pat? Thanks for joining us from Florida. Some say the sound's not coming through. I wonder what's happening there. Let's see if we can work on that one. In the meantime, Virginia from the East Coast, how are you doing? Great to have you with us. There's a couple of questions here. Suki, I see you, a member of the Premium Africam Premium. Thank you very much for that, and that you glued to the Nomad Cam. Yeah, I must say, the concept of the Nomad Cam is quite an interesting one, especially when they find something of interest and leaving it there. I'm also enjoying the second camera at Rosie's. I don't know what you think of that. There was a leopard there, I think 2 or 3 days ago, giving a wonderful low-level angle. So some nice new changes on the cameras that we have. Suki, you're asking whether we monitor the messages. The messages on here, I don't think we do. I'll have to get back to you with that sort of administration stuff with regards to the website. There's always the BOMA. And if you do have any questions that you remember that you may have put down here. This is a good time to put them down. Oh, look at that elephant. In the meantime, he's getting himself those top branches there. Oh, very good. One of the interesting concepts, why elephants break off branches and often break trees right off at the trunk or sometimes from the root system. Some of you may or may not know, but trees have the ability, or one of the ways that they protect themselves against over browsing, or I think this is probably a little bit more than browsing that this elephant's doing, but they have tannins. They have the ability to raise and lower tannins, which is essentially a chemical that trees have. It's chemical protection. And it can get to the point where that if there's too much tannin in an area, it can be poisonous for those animals that are feeding on the leaves and the bark and the roots like an elephant. And because elephants eat so much on a daily basis, let's call it an average of 150, maybe 160 kgs of food a day per adult, you can imagine how much tannin it does actually take in. But now, for example, that branch that elephant's broken off that tree is completely tannin free. So he can feed on all of the leaves on that branch. He can roll that stick between his molars and get the bark off and go for that sweet cambium layer. You see, because as that tree is being attacked by that elephant, that tree has the ability to raise its tannin levels as it's being attacked and drop that tannin level when it gets left alone. So as the elephant starts, if it just nibbled like giraffes do, if they just nibble on the leaves, that leaf that it's taking, the new leaves that it's taking, is starting to get more bitter as it goes along. That's often why you never really see a giraffe sticking around and just finishing the leaves off one tree. So they'll nibble on the tree and then move off. And what's even more fascinating is that they'll often, especially if they're in a big group, a herd or a journey, I'm talking about giraffe now, they often move off into the wind, because as the tree is raising its tannin levels, it's also releasing a pheromone into the breeze, and some of them do it through their root system. Most of them do it through both. But it's warning the trees. Unfortunately for those trees, it's only the trees that are downwind of the tree that's being attacked. It's sending message that there are feeders on their way and they should start raising their tannin levels. Just take a break in the explanation. Just watch this elephant, how it uses its trunk and its tusks to skillfully break off that cambium layer. So the cambium layer is the layer between the actual woody branch and the rough outer bark. Some of you may have even had the opportunity to eat that yourself, but it is really sweet. You can peel that layer off. Looks a little bit like Egyptian paper or maybe wood shavings. But they're delicious, especially when they're fresh like this. So that's what that elephant's trying to do. And it's just phenomenal to see how they use that trunk together with their tusks to get to the right food that they need. What a wonderful sighting. Yeah, so the giraffe would move off into the wind to get away from that bitter flavored leaf. If you want to know what that bitterness tastes like, just take a tea bag and let it brew for even half an hour, and then take a sip of that black tea. That bitter dryness that you get left with in your mouth, can also do it with bottom of the barrel red wine. But that dryness, that's actually tannin. So the way elephants feed, by breaking branches off, pushing trees over, getting to the root system, is actually really part of its functional way of feeding and getting away from tannins. And in a normal, natural, big, unleft system, They are really important feeders, as some of you may know. Others may still think that they are essentially destructive, but they do all the landscaping. They also spread seeds, and they actually create diversity within an environment. So when we see an elephant feeding in that fashion, as we've just seen it take that big branch off, in fact, that tree looks like it's had a couple of run-ins with elephant. But that's really important for the environment. That tree, where it's broken off, will coppice and regrow, often thicker. So quite an interesting sighting that I find. Always lovely to watch elephants. It's probably one of the biggest stars on our cameras. But in some of the highlights, we've also got one or two of the smaller, not so commonly seen animals, which we'll go through shortly. Let's go across to Tao Pan. I just want to see what's happening there on the live camera, because that's also where one of the really special sightings happened. If I'm not mistaken, we had a serval there just the other day, I think 2 nights ago, might have even been yesterday, looking rather dry out there today. Sure, there has been some elephant activity around. Okay, well, while we wait, I just wanted to go through to the highlight of this serval. Now, serval is something that I've often spoken about as one of the animals that I'd really like to see. And finally, one has been spotted on the cameras. There it is. I'm not sure how many people have actually managed to see serval in real life. I've seen them only a handful of times. It's not that they're uncommon per se or endangered. They're just really shy. They're strictly nocturnal. And here we get this perfect view of this incredible, beautifully little predator, not dissimilar to cheetahs, I guess, in some way. Very long back legs, very similar in design to a caracal. And those back legs are perfectly designed to jump, to spring up on things. And what serval typically do is they hunt through open areas, in particular grassy areas, and they'll go for mice. They'll be looking for mice and other rodents, but they also specialize in flushing bird life. And as they walk through and flush, let's say, a spur fowl, they use those back legs to jump it and grab it out of the air. So this is a really unusual sighting, something we should really cherish, I guess. Beautiful markings, small little face. And again, because we're not disturbing it in any way, we get a perfect view of the serval. Okay, let's go back to the cam there, Max, the live cam. I heard a couple of bird calls and talking about, oh, the camera's going into the air. Maybe there's a raptor flying by. That's okay. What I'd like to do now, guys, if you listen out carefully, Max, if you could play our bird calls. So, folks, we've got some bird calls set up. We're going to let you listen and then give it for the rest of the show. See if you can work out which birds they are. Some of them are easier than others. And then we'll go through them again at the end of the show. Let's see if Max can get that up for us and have a good listen. Okay. So that's the first one. Let's go through the second one, Max. That's a little trickier. Okay, there's a third one. Let's see if we can get number 3 up. Ooh. That's a really tricky one. Suki, let's see how you go at the end. If you do have any answers, we do have one more call. If you have the answers, you can start putting them down. Let's listen to number 4. Okay, so those were 4 bird calls. Suki, I see you. I guess it's you saying, yay, bird calls. So we're going to go through those again shortly. But I just wanted you to hear them in case you know them offhand already. And just before the end of the show, we'll go through them. We've actually got the birds themselves calling, so we do have a video of it. And then we can also start a learning process. But if you do have any idea of what they are, number 1 to 4, if you have any idea what the bird calls are, let me have them on the question box. Okay. I see there's some questions that have slowly trickling through here, or more response to the trees and tannins story. Yes, Pat, indeed, trees don't look aggressive at all, but I guess they need to be, especially if you look at these pictures here. It looks like a bit of a war zone. But you know what's also quite interesting is when the rains come, sweet grasses tend to grow well in really shaded areas, which is often where those trees have fallen. And then I've often seen how elephants come the very next season and remove that tree and feed on the nice sweet grasses. There's a slender mongoose. Oh, good spotting, Zumi. Long, thin tail with a black patch of hair at the end of it. That's the slender mongoose, also utilizing the shade of the tree that's still standing, but has lost its bark also due to elephants. But now it's a wonderful home for all sorts of things like barbets, squirrels. black mambas. He looks very busy there. There's mongoose looking for insects. They'll scratch also in the dead trees that have fallen on the ground for spiders, grubs, scorpions, all sorts of things. Let's go across quickly to Rosie's pan. It's just a wonderful scene of two elephants having a drink there right now. And there was also a great highlight from Rosie's pan of two wild dogs. But for the time being, these beautiful elephant bulls having a relaxed drink. Like I say, it's funny today around all the cameras, all the animals seem to be very relaxed. It must be nice and calm, beautiful temperature. It's a wonderful scene. Let's see if Max can get us that highlight of the wild dogs and just look how beautiful the environment is around the dogs. It was here at Rosie's, taken from our second camera at eye level. Just look at that. 3 dogs, beautiful reflection. What an amazing sighting. They didn't stick around for long. They just came around to have a look. Maybe they had a drink, but they didn't that we saw. There's actually a hyena den not too far away from Rosie's pan that I saw last year. I wonder if they're not denning there. This is the time of year that wild dogs will den, area dependent, but anywhere between May, June, July, they'll start looking for den sites. And there's definitely a great den site not far from Rosie's pan. So it's something to look out for. Again, not sure, whether they will, but definitely towards November, December, we might start to see some 3-4 month old youngsters coming to visit the waterhole. Not impossible at all. Oh, Suki, you hitting us with some bird calls here. Yikes on bird calls, indeed. Yeah, it's definitely a tricky one, especially where we're just hearing them on the cameras. Okay, you've got shrike, nightjar, swallow, glossy starling. Need an armchair safari course. It's not a bad idea, but we're going to go through the calls. We'll go through the calls at the end, and that'll be the start of the armchair safari. But if I'm not careful, I've got to watch the time here. We're going to run out of time. There's so much going on here. I'd like to just go to Ancora Pan, Max. Let's just see what's happening there at the moment. There was a Pride of Lions there over the weekend. Don't know if they've been seen in the last couple of days, but they did kill a buffalo in this vicinity. And we do have a highlight or a video from that of a very, very full lion. So the pride that exists in this area that we often see is called the Torchwood Pride. Torchwood's a beautiful big tree, also known as a Balanites. But the pride is up to 25 strong. And what's really quite interesting about them is that they have a huge part of their territory within Kruger National Park. And Kora is on the edge of the park. So they have a big territory. And they often get seen anywhere between 4 members. I wonder what that is there in the back right of the live screen right now. There's something in the grass there. We've gone past it. I'm not sure what it was. If we go left again, there's a bit of a delay in communications across to the zoomies, but there was something in the grass. But that's okay. Let's go to the view from the weekend. Hang on a second, Maxie. There's something there. You see it looks like a line in the long grass. Oh. Okay, we'll keep a look on it. The zoomies will look in. And this was one view that we saw on the weekend. Just watch this lioness having a drink. And then when she lies down, you see how full her belly is. Just look at that. Oh, she can't even move. That's full of buffalo meat. And we spoke about the concept of how often do lions actually feed. there's the rest of the pride, and we spoke that on average every 2 days, but something like this buffalo would have kept this pride here. I think it kept them there for 3 days. I reckon day 4 for digestion, maybe even day 5 by the looks of that one. But they were around and definitely worth looking out for. I think that lion I saw is exactly that, a lion log. Happens to the best of us. Always good to check, though. You never know. Thank you, Zimmy, for zooming in there. Okay, I think it's now time to go back to the bird calls. Max, if we can just play those bird calls one more time. If we play the bird call without the bird, and then let's play the bird that we can see it. And Suki, you're going to see now which one you got. You did get one right. I'm going to give you 1 mark for your answers. The strike. There is a strike in there. Okay, so this is the second call. It's the deep sound we're listening out for, not the frogs. Okay, Maxi, let's see what bird that is. It's the Vering's eagle owl. The giant eagle owl, some of you might know it as. But this is a wonderful view, and just look at him standing out there, or sitting out there on broken log, calling out. Let's have another listen before we move on to the next one. Okay. So that's the sound we do hear a lot on lots of our cameras. So listen out for it. And hopefully you'll get it right the next time. Okay, Maxi, let's see if we can get another one up. The alarm call, the alarm clock, should we say, of the bush. Okay, let's have a look at the bird itself. Noisy fellow. The Swainson spurfowl. Giving off a very proud territorial calling view. Okay. Let's go for number 3, Max. This was quite a tricky one. The blue waxbills. Oh. Okay, that was them calling without them. Let's go back to the video of the actual birds, please, Maxie. Such a beautiful bird. Just a high-pitched whistling, constant whistle. This is the blue waxbills. Not a very easy one there, but blue waxbills nonetheless. And one more. This is the one you got right, Suki. Well, shrike, but it's a magpie shrike to be precise, but I'll definitely give you a point there. Okay, let's have a look at the bird, Max. Absolutely no need to crawl into bird sound embarrassment, Suki. It's a really hard thing to do, and this is just the beginning of getting better at it. So those are buffalo weavers, but the shrike's just taken off with a long tail and the black and white marking. Very particular call. Can't mistake it for much. Sometimes drongos, fork-tailed drongos, confuse us there because they like to mimic. But like I say, Suki and everybody else having a listen, it's really tricky and you got to start somewhere. Now, I would definitely suggest getting a birding app where you can get to hear all the calls while looking at the pictures. Some of the apps give you the variations of calls because it's even area dependent. Birds actually have dialects, believe it or not, but we won't go there to start with. We'll keep it simple. But we've come to the end of today's show, slightly over it, but that's okay because there's always such amazing things going on, lots to talk about. And we'll keep going through birds in a similar fashion. This was the first day, so it was a tricky getting things up and running. But thanks very much, Max, for doing that. And thank you to everybody for joining me today. And we will do some more on Tuesday. Keep watching the cameras over the weekend. And I look forward to catching up with you next week. Have a great day further, everybody. And well done for trying on the bird calls.